Let this load up. Hey y'all, Peter Bros Golf Show back at it again. Didn't do Sunday this week. It was the wife's birthday, so happy birthday to her on yesterday. So shout out
Woohoo!
to her.
Happy
We
birthday, Crystal.
celebrated, ran long, but had a good time. So, but the show definitely goes on. All right, y'all. Um, Interesting times as we wind down the end of season. Let's go ahead and start with the ladies. Is that a good place to start? Then we'll kind
Who
of
are you?
circle
Who are
around.
you again?
Who am I?
Yeah, you missed
What do
that
you
part.
mean? Oh, I'm Rod.
And I'm Marcus.
As my name states, even though Marcus doesn't necessarily, it's not clear. So
So
we'll start
sorry.
with the ladies. Yeah, no worries, man. So we had the AIG Women's Open Championship this week. Very interesting. So coming out the gates, Charlie Hull really first round came out on fire. Rough conditions, slow play. Really just set the tone. Had a couple strokes lead coming out in the first round. We had talked about that the week prior, that she had really been putting in the work, looked
Yeah.
serious, had been competing at a really high level, and just wasn't just a pretty face out there chasing the ball around. Really putting the performance where kind of the talent is. How much of that did you catch? Again, at a really good time. Played on the old course at
Yeah.
St. Andrews. How much did you catch?
Um, Thursday, Friday caught a lot of coverage. Saturday caught a good brunt of the coverage before, having to depart and hang out with mom who was in town for Earth, Wind, and Fire concert. So we were all both jam-packed this weekend. So we had a lot of things going, but still managed to get a lot of that coverage in. Um, I felt like Nelly is so heartbreaking, man. I mean, I look back at the coverage on Sunday because I didn't get a chance to watch it live. She
Mm-hmm.
had a three-stroke lead at one point, yet again. Had the lead, was eight under up until like hole 12 or 13. And
Yeah.
then I guess it all just fell apart because Lydia Ko, I mean, she did what she was supposed to do. I mean, let's not take that away from Lydia Ko because
Right. She
Lydia Ko
birdied
definitely
18.
went, and she birdied 17. I think she went. This is one of those cases where it wasn't Nelly losing it; it was Lydia went and got it again, just like she did for that gold medal. No,
I'll say to a certain degree, to me, that the whole like two putts were left short by two separate players that made all the difference in 17 and 18. So
yeah,
Nelly
Lilia
on
Vu.
seven, yeah, Lilia Vu
Yeah,
on 18, of course, but Nelly had a chance on 17 to get up and down, save par, and she left that putt short, right in the jaws. Not, I mean, definitely difficult, but at that point in the week, those you should have been adjusted to the greens.
yeah,
Lydia seems so content with her game right now. That three wood on 17 in terrible weather was clutch. She definitely was clutch, but seeing those other two ladies leave their putt short on 17 and 18, again, not that a guarantee that Nelly would have gone down and gotten a birdie on 18, but it definitely puts you in a more aggressive mindset versus
yeah.
you can't really win it going into 18. And Lydia, not Lily, Lilia, three putting on 18. And I get it again. After you miss the first putt, leave it severely short. Didn't even really
Right.
give it a chance. Yeah, you're let down, and then you end up in a four way tie for third place or second place, excuse me. That just sucks, right? You even lost the solo second on that
All the
kind
winds
of
out
poor
the
showing.
sail.
Yeah, but I think it what it does is showcase the ladies' game and where we're at. That the two Americans that we think of as top of the game. We've seen the hell of a season from Nelly Corda, and then a really strong comeback to the second half of her season from Lilia Vu after some injury struggles earlier on the year. So it was good to see the names at the top of the leaderboard. But I agree with Steve that again, homegirl Lydia is in a really good spot with her game and seems
Yeah,
happier than ever. You know, just being a married lady, kind of the pressure off to
yeah. Pressure's
get
off.
into the
Hall of
Hall of Fame. Yeah,
Fame, gold.
yeah,
She got the medal trifecta now. Oh, she's smooth chilling. None of this.
yeah,
I mean, it matters, and but a lot of that weight is off now. So she's definitely going to be freewheeling and playing the game to her best of ability. Honestly, I just wish, New Zealand, Australia, they could get in some of these Solheim Cups because I feel like she'd be a stalwart in the fact that how consistent she is and how when it comes down to it, she'll be able to lock in. But, they don't have a President's Cup or something like that for the ladies tour yet. So maybe they'll
right.
have that in the works soon enough for all the Koreans and all the Asians, the Chinese, the Japanese, all those players that are
That
mainland
brings it
Asia
all
and
in.
stuff like that. I mean, that's half the tour right there. You got to have them involved. We can't just have like that World Cup thing with the two-man teams and stuff like that. That's a pretty cheap
Yeah,
excuse to me.
yeah, it would be nice, especially since the LPGA is definitely very global. We see players from all over the world in their game playing at a very high level. So I agree, something that's equivalent of the President's Cup would be nice. But I mean, that's why we see Solheim Cup twice in a row, just because there wasn't a filler or anything to step in there in this in between year, and then kind of getting back on track with the split between the Ryder Cup and the Solheim.
Yeah, the
So
off year.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if we saw in the next 2 years Lydia go on a really incredible run, given what she's been able to do at the second half of the year, really playing a really solid game. There's not a lot in her swing that can get off, and that's what we've talked about with the ladies for the longest is that they have really solid mechanics, and there's
Yeah,
not a lot that can go wrong, or when it gets off, it seems like you can easily fix things. I mean, we were really kind of down on Nelly coming in that she hasn't performed well in the second half of the season, and the last two majors have been really rough. But she was able to compete at a high level this week, kind of figured out what was going on. Even the mention last week of not playing in the Scottish Open and kind of getting the feels, but it looked like she was over there pretty early in the week, getting some links in. I think she had
yeah,
played somewhere else a couple weeks ago. So I think the women's game, as we've discussed this year, is in full is in the best place that I think that it's been in since we've been watching golf. What do you think about that aspect of it?
yeah. I would agree. I mean, yeah, we've had some good runs and we've had some, prodigious players in the past, but it was just some one offs. I felt like Lorena Ochoa was out there by herself in her time. When Stacey Lewis was out there winning and was number one, I felt like it wasn't really much besides like a Susan Pedersen or something randomly enough. I didn't really feel like there
Right.
was much really challenging her. Michelle Wee
Uh,
was after Stacey Lee. Like, I mean, a lot of those players, you know, wasn't really much after that one season of greatness.
Uh,
So yeah, I feel like
Annika Storenstam had her run, but again, who else
right,
was
true.
really pushing her?
Right, because she was before Lorena Ochoa. Yanni Sang, she had a run. That was a name I saw on first day coverage. She was like even or one under, and I was like, Yanni Sang, you know, she's in a major. Good to see her out here. And then sure
I
enough,
know.
she's over par,
Jesus, she
one of
used
the
to
last,
she used
crushed
to
it all.
kill it, man. And you know who her swing back in the day reminded me of, or reminds me of now, is Lynn Grant. Very long and very
Yep.
flowy from the top,
Hmm.
but when she lost it. She fell off a
Yeah.
cliff.
Right. There was no like getting back on the train tracks or nothing like that. We had to rebuild the motor, the train, put on some new tracks, then get it going again. Because Lordy, she fell off. My
Yeah.
lord.
So yeah, shout out to Lydia Ko again securing her third major of her career. Like I said, I will not be surprised if she goes on a run. It was just a couple of years ago that she won the end of year championship, so she's
Yeah, the
not far
CMB
off.
Gold. Hmm.
Yeah, for some really good golf, and seems like she's had a kick ass back half of the year, and I can't wait. I mean, there's still a lot of golf on the women's side that's going to be played, So it's not over, right? So their end of the year chase. We're going to see her probably perform again in that Grant Thornton, which was really
Yeah,
cool seeing her and Jason Day competing last year. So there's still a lot of season left, still some wins to be captured, and see how the end of the year kind of unfolds for them. Player of the year, I don't know what we got Nelly with two majors. um, Lydia, this is kind of it's very similar to the Scotty Scheffler and Xander Schauffele
right.
discussion on the PGA Tour. What do you think between those two ladies? Bunch of wins and a couple majors from Nelly, and then a
Yeah.
major and a gold medal from Lydia.
I mean, right now I'm still holding tight with Nelly. I mean, recency bias always, kind of gets in the way, kind of always alters how we think. And really, I guess with Lydia, you just have to wonder how much weight that gold medal has on her, her resume for this year. And I think it holds a little bit more than Scotty's gold because of the fact that it was her, ceiling point to get into the LPGA Hall of Fame. So it
Mm,
might, that might be the kickstart to get her that player of the year. But Nelly winning, 6 times out of 7 weeks, 5 times in a row with the two majors, it's hard to compete against that.
yeah,
It's
it just feels like it was so long ago at this
so
point of the
long
season.
ago, it does, yeah. But yeah, I'm still
Yeah,
holding firm with Nelly, and like you said, I mean, there's still so much golf to. They're playing all the way until November. They're playing all the way until November, brother. So we got a lot
yeah,
more golf on the LPGA side, and Solheim Cup might be a little, be a little guideline for how Nelly's going to go forward as well. That's 3 weeks from now, September 13th through the 15th. So we'll see how she competes in there, and we'll see how she goes, going forward into their little playoffs and their end of the year event.
yeah, yeah. A lot of I'm looking at the LPGA schedule right now. There's quite a few events. October is stacked. They're playing every single week in October.
Hmm.
Yeah, they play one tournament here in August 29th at the end of August before they get into the Solheim Cup. So I think there's still some meat left on the bone. So there, if depending on how much Lydia wants to play at the end of this year, I think if she can tuck a couple more wins, it really becomes an intriguing
Yeah,
discussion. But I agree. I
yeah,
think right
agreed.
now Nelly's got it in the bag. But an incredible season from Lydia. Um, since I think given her due, we don't do a lot of ladies what's in the bag, but I think it's definitely due. Our other one with Miss Nelly Corda is up, so go check out the playlist once you hop off of this video. But let's get into Lydia's. We'll head through it really quick. The fun thing about the ladies' bags is they're always playing some different clubs that we don't always see. Going through kind of the PGA and Live guys stuff, and also
Yeah,
different shafts as well. So let's get it. So she's rocking the Ping G430 LST, which is becoming the hot boy club, across both tours.
oh yeah,
Playing that at 10.5. It was interesting kind of researching for this video. Her relationship with PXG terminated at the end of 2022. She had a 5-year deal with them. It's kind of early on in their development, and they were not necessarily putting out pro grade clubs at that time. But
yeah,
she ended up sticking with a couple of the woods, a couple of years after that, but has since kind of migrated all of their clubs out of her bag. But just an interesting side note there. Rocking the Mitsubishi Diamana GT50, a little bit lighter than we typically see on the men's side. We're usually seeing a 60, 65, 75 gram shafts on the men's side. So going a little bit lighter here, getting some club head speed, which she's kind of, I wouldn't say she's the one of the longer. She's probably kind of bottom half of the longer ladies
yeah.
out there. Gets a lot of roll off of her driver. Any comments here on this particular club?
Yeah, I mean, definitely she's a rollout player. I mean, you've seen her come into greens with hybrids and they stick like a short iron would. So she is very familiar with her game, and I think this LST plays right into that as well. Diamond is a,
For
is a
sure.
coming is coming back, especially with the GT model. Um, I think we're going to see a lot more 50-gram shafts in the ladies' game because they want more. They're going to want more club head speed. They're not they're going to hit it out of the middle way more than the men ever will. So they need all the speed they can to get more yardage out of it, more than just swinging hard.
I want to see if I can find like a cheap Tensei CK White in 50 grams just to kind of play around with it. I've even
Mm,
kind of entertained the idea of trying to put in something with low spin and super light just to see what could happen. Could also easily lose control of that type of speed as well. So
right.
interesting choice there. But it's good to see somebody else competing on the shaft game outside of the norm that we've been seeing all year. Continuing that Mitsubishi Diamana shaft in the Ping G430 Max 15 and 18 woods. No surprise there.
Yeah.
Ping, the one of the best in the game when it comes to woods. When we get to our other what's in the bag that we're going to do today, um, interesting choice, and I'm very curious what you think about something that's in the wood category. So, not really much to commentate on here. Any thoughts on these two?
Diamona PD player design, 60-gram shaft. No. 15 degree, 18 degree, perfect gapping, 3 wood, 5 wood. And then she
Yep.
probably gets into some more hybrids and stuff like that.
Yep.
Yep.
Keeps it going.
There you have it.
Graphite design Tour AD. This one's Tour AD hanging in there.
Yeah.
Again, G430 at 22 degrees. So this is what, like a 4 or 5 hybrid? Four.
That's 4, yeah.
Yeah.
On the lower end of things, 4. More mainly just like you saw with Aaron Wright, like they're more like 23, 24. But, need a little bit of stronger loft just to, get a little bit of more out of it.
Yeah. Just controllable, regular, flex shaft. Nothing
Definitely.
crazy there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we get into these irons. Ping I-230 in the 5 and 7, and then she's playing the Blueprint S irons in the 8 and 9 with this
Hmm.
Aerotech steel fiber FC 70 stiff shafts. Not super familiar with this one. Again, this is where I think we saw this with another lady earlier in the year with that Aerotech steel fiber shaft. Again,
Hmm.
not super popular, not widely adopted. She was playing some like prototype irons these last couple of years as well, but seems like she migrated away from those at the end of last year. Kind of
Yeah.
nondescript, not much logoing on them, which again, you can't really go wrong with Ping irons as well. I mean, damn, Ping is just really good. And this is a really sleek looking iron as well as those blueprints. What are your thoughts
Yeah.
here?
The I-230 is essentially it's like the title is CB, essentially. Mean as far as like thin top line players club, but with a little bit of help, a lot of bottom and perimeter weighting so that it's easy for the ball to get up in the air, but also allows you to be a little bit more stronger lofted to where it's going to help with distance, make it easier. Sweet spot's a little bit bigger, but still, like I said, with that player design to make it, feel like you're hitting something similar to like a player's blade or something like that as well. The
Yeah.
steel fiber it's a nice shaft. It's a graphite shaft, but of course on the stiffer, harder side of things, just really to compete with like what an iron shaft would do. So it's got those same characteristics. And I think with a girl like Lydia Ko, it's so easy for her to hit those. So I definitely think it's
Hmm.
a red dot. I think that's 1 degree flat or something like that. I forgot their dot system, but
Okay.
I love their dot system. It's easy to like once you are certified or whatever. Once you know enough tech about ping, it's easy to deter which one is one. Like the black dot is the original. It's standard lie, standard length, and then you get into 1 degree, 2 degree, and up, down, flat, or upright. And I think it's like super rare, but you have some 3 degrees upright, some 3 degree flats, but that's really some very much so some fit for things.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up a quick little chart here, and it's like every link that I'm clicking. But from what I can read, yeah, that red is 1 degree flat.
Yeah.
So cool. All right, keeping it moving here. Next slide. So had an in action shot. So I love that she's rocking the darker finish in her wedges. So the Titleist Vokey SM9s, pitch and wedge, excuse me, 48 degree, 54, and a 58. Nothing, again, the carrying through with the same shaft brand, a little bit heavier on the wedge side. But yeah, I just thought that stood out that she's playing that darker finish in the
Yeah.
SM9.
I wonder what her loft is for a pitch and wedge. Maybe 44 to help with the loft difference.
Yeah,
I mean, her gap
couldn't.
is 48.
Right, right. Um, yeah,
She's a,
given the profile from the other clubs that we saw, I think she probably is going with the lower, lofted pitch and wedge. We saw that also with Aaron Rye,
yeah,
where he went 48 and then to a 44 as well. So
yeah.
wouldn't be surprised there. Keeping it moving. The center shafted Scotty Cameron
Ugh,
GSS. Do you hate that?
ugh.
I don't know. It's an interesting look. I kind of like it. Putting is so unique, and I guess just depending on what
True.
your eyes are drawn to, and which eye is dominant, that look might be attractive. I don't know. Looking
Yeah,
at it over the ball, looking at it from somebody else, stroking it with that putter, super cool. The
yeah.
half mallet style, classic from Scotty. I love that putter, that half mallet that they have. But of course, different neck positions in that lineup.
I mean, it looks great, and I mean, the thing is if you're a true straight back, straight through putter, then yes, the center shaft is definitely going to do you right because you don't have to worry about face control and things like that. But me, who puts on an arc, more inside, comes through, closes the face, and then kind of wraps it more around me because I'm more handsy with it than anything. Then yeah, it's gonna not fare well with me because I'm gonna keep the face open a lot more. So it's more just preference than anything. No true hate. I do. I've tried out the
Yeah,
center shafted putter before. I had
it's just not for
A
you.
Nike method. It is not. It is not, unfortunately, brother.
Okay, and playing the Pro V1X from Titleist, standard
Oh,
ball, can't go wrong. And her shoes, the Echo Biome G5 LK. Not a lot of Echo athletes out there. Every time I think Echo, I think Fred Couples. He's kind of the
mm-hmm.
OG guy that started rocking Echoes. But they make a solid product. I think it's super
Oh, for
underrated
sure.
as a shoe. And she's clearly playing the BOA version of these. So she's been an Echo athlete for quite some time. Definitely something to them. There's nothing flashy. I always loved their kind of sneaker leather looks that they had in the males versions of their shoes, but really really nice looking shoe that they put out.
Agreed.
So that is Lydia Ko's What's in the Bag. Again, we wish her good tidings for the remainder of this year. I think again it's going to be really exciting coming down the stretch. So let's talk about a couple things. Just it's not necessarily related to the ladies game, but we saw a repeat of this, and also a couple of years ago when the men played at the old course at St. Andrews, is the slow play and
Right.
just the struggles to get around that course with the shared greens where you're pausing or wind. I mean, these are massive greens,
Yeah.
and you're trying to respect your fellow competitors and not putt and have things going. Just it's a lot, and even the routing of the course is somewhat bizarre that it takes you out, and I couldn't get it digitized, but there's a map where they have all these courses on that property that are kind of lining that same course at the
Yeah.
old course as well, and it kind of takes you out. It does a little hook on the upper right hand side of the course and then brings you back into the clubhouse. Do you think that we should, again, we know it's the home of golf, I'm not mad if they decided we're only going to St. Andrews like once every 15 years. I feel like we see it quite a bit in the rotation. Maybe I'm overplaying it, but I don't know. I feel like it's
No.
outplayed its usefulness of it's not long enough anymore, especially if the weather is not up. We saw that when the weather was not a factor for the men, how long and how short the course actually looks. I think it
Yeah.
held up very well for the ladies this week. We saw the number get set kind of high the first day. I think Charlie got to what, 7? But then, it was
Wow.
it was 5. Okay. But the lead kind of hovered around that 7 or 8 number all
Yeah.
weekend. What do you think about that? Kind of cutting down on the St. Andrews, even though this is the first time the ladies have played there.
Third time. They played
My bad.
'04. Ochoa won it, and Stacey. It's just one of those. It's just one of those stats that they kept bringing up on every broadcast that they ever showed this week. So it's the only reason
I've
why I
been
remembered it.
I've been listening without sound quite
Yeah,
a
so
bit.
they brought it up multiple times, and they tried to bring. Well, I mean, they were really trying to bring it in because Nelly Corda, she was a number one seed, and she was doing leading the tournament and trying to be another number one to win at St. Andrews when they had it there. Didn't come through, of course, but yeah, I think it's organization wise. I think this has everything to do with the RNA. This has everything to do with the USGA. These people need to actually put these penalties on these people for this slow play. The
Mm,
conditions alone cannot deter you from giving somebody a penalty because they're all dealing with the same wind. Yeah, it's gusting. Yeah, it's blustery, but everybody's getting gusts. Everybody's getting blusters. So that's not an excuse for people to back off the ball and then continue to take their time. And then around the greens, everybody needs to be using their inside voices anyways. This isn't a brolic. This isn't a frat party scramble going on. We're not about to sit out here and yell and cheer and stuff like that when somebody makes a putt. We're out here trying to compete. So if that respect is shown on these double-sided greens, then we would have a lot more simultaneous putts. And again, the pace wouldn't be as bad. But I think this also has to do with the fact that yes, the PGA allows people to use rangefinders now, non-sloped edition. I think we need to
mm-hmm.
incorporate that everywhere. I think we need to incorporate that everywhere. All these caddies that are getting sponsored by Bushnell and all these players that have Bushnell sponsorships, it does no good and no justice for you to use it on Monday and Tuesday. Then all of a sudden we're going back to the sprinkler heads and stepping shit off for what?
Yeah.
For
I
what?
agree. We've said that the PGA is ahead of the game with that, and I don't think it impacts play. It doesn't artificially lower scores. I
It
mean,
doesn't. You can shoot the same way you get a pin sheet is the same way that you can use a rangefinder. Because what are we doing? We're shooting to the front, so we know where our front number is. Then we're shooting to the flag to see how much space we have in between that. It's the same thing as when they give you a pin sheet and they tell you it's 20 paces on and 10 off the right. It's the same
right,
exact thing. I'm just shooting it, and it's the quicker thing to do, as well as
right.
having a pin sheet. So again, don't give me
Because
that.
you
It's
because there's still other calculations that have to be made. Like you said, there's a non-slope calculating. You have to calculate for slope. Like this
yep,
week in Colorado for on the PGA Tour would have been a really good test of that, right? So even though you
right,
can get the yardage really quickly, you're having to calculate for the altitude as well as it was a lot of slopes on that course, which I
yep,
loved, which we'll get to. But yeah, there's calculating for wind, all kinds of other things that outside of just getting a clear number and then kind of working around that, it just makes sense, especially
yeah.
when slow play keeps coming up. And we've never, like you first started off with enforcing the penalties and really, just staying vigilant about actually penalizing people who are holding up the course. I
The
did
game
catch
is
an
way too
interest.
progressive, man.
Yeah, I caught an interesting article, and I don't know if I agree with it or not. I'm still kind of mulling it over, but it says the answer to slow play is not necessarily keeping up with the group in front of you, but not holding up the group behind you. I don't know. again, I'm still mulling it over. What that could mean or whatever. Because if you're pushing the group ahead of you, how useful is that?
Right,
But I don't know. I guess if everyone follows the mindset of don't hold up the group behind you, it it's beneficial. But I think
right,
it also goes, retreats back to enforcement of that as well. Like how badly is the group behind you having to be held up? Is it 5 minutes? Is it 10 minutes on every tee box that they're having to wait for you? Because then that slows down the entire course. So I
right.
think that part of the game really has to be slowed up. But I agree. You know where we're at on rangefinders. They should absolutely be incorporated in every part of the game, professionally, non-professionally, etc.
Yeah,
It's just the smart thing to do. And the guys go back to St. Andrews every 5 years.
yeah.
So there, yeah, I felt like it was that often. Like I said,
It
I'd be
is
totally fine. I'd be totally fine with 15. There's so many other really good links courses that you know would. I mean, hell, this year really stood out. I'm forgetting the name of the course already, where the Open Championship was held, but it
Royal
presented
Troon.
incredible. Royal Troon, right, with the postage stamp. Really nice. Just it's an interesting look. We don't get to
Yeah,
see that type of golf every single week. On the PGA tour, so it's something different. And so seeing different great link style courses would be amazing. They just
agree.
present really interestingly on TV. So more of that and seeing some more variety would be awesome.
I agree.
Um, let's get into the tour championship. Shit, I did it kind of back 30 to number one. What do you think
Yep.
about the tour championship this year? Have you been watching? Look, let's just talk about recency. That course in Colorado was amazing. Again, I'm
Right.
partial because
Presented really good on the
I
on
think
the
so.
camera. Gave us a different challenge, more elevation, uphill, downhill, playing different yardages. I mean, the guys were casually hitting their 5 irons like 230, 240, and stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah,
just fun to see golfers do golf things, especially because you saw it on the final day. The dudes were jumped up on adrenaline and flying green still. Like, I mean, Keegan and Adam Scott on that par three, number 16 or whatever, they hit 7 iron
yeah,
to a 195-yard par three and flew it to the top shelf. So, again, things that you just normally don't see when these guys are so dialed in, especially in playoff golf. So, um, just a little wrench in everything, and I like that. So, hopefully, that
yeah,
course will be around more. Don't get me wrong though, I like the TPC Boston. I like that setup. I like the
yeah,
Labor Day event, Friday through Monday. Always fun. And again, just something we don't see throughout the whole schedule of the year. We don't see that. So is this something
yeah,
that you want to see more of is abnormalities and rare things. So I don't know.
yeah. It fit the bill, and I think it was honestly, and I did some reading up on the course. Hadn't been in the rotation. I think I made a note about it. God,
Since early 2000s or something like
2000,
that. Six?
2006.
Yeah.
2006 was the last professional event played there on the PGA Tour. I
Yep.
think I'm not a huge fan of Jack Nicklaus course designs. I'm just not. There's certain elements that he puts that are consistent throughout his design. They said that that's truly one of his best designs, if not the best that he's ever
Yeah.
designed, and I agree with that. I mean, they're
And he
just
got
it
it
get
got renovated too, so it's better.
yeah, a little bit of everything. I think you're gonna the elevation changes really kind of make up for the extra length that you're getting and
Yeah.
having to calculate different things. So I thought it presented very well. We've talked about this structure every year with the tour championship. Going into it, let's work from back to front or front to back. So let me jump. side 7 here. So we know Scotty Scheffler, has the lead. Xander Schauffele, we've talked about them as the top two players
Mm,
all year. No
yep.
surprises here. Hideki Matsuyama, who did not even get to finish the BMW due to an injury, but is guaranteed to, not guaranteed, but looks like he's going to be in the tournament this week. Doesn't look like he has any ongoing issues. Keegan Bradley, no surprise with his win there. Kind of quietly had a really solid season. Glad to see him getting the nod as a Ryder Cup captain, which he said that he's going to field the best team. So just as a side note, live guys, if they are playing well, will have an opportunity to make the team.
Yeah.
Clearly as captain's picks based on qualifications. So Ludwig Ober had a really solid season. First full year out here. Love the kid. I was telling somebody that I was playing with this weekend that there's two guys that I love kind of from a setup standpoint, even though we don't love him as a human being. Billy Horschel, I love his setup. It's so
Yeah.
square and just solid. It looks athletic, just from a setup standpoint and from a swing standpoint. There's a lot of things and elements that I try to model after Ludwig, just because his there's not a lot of moving parts per se to his swing. One,
Yeah.
he plays fast as all get out. Once he gets a number, gets set up to the ball, he's going. But his swing is simple and repeatable. It
Yeah.
always reminds me of that Rocky movie with the guy from Russia, and just kind of he's a machine. He looks the
Mm,
part, and his swing again. There, it's hard to tell the difference between swing to swing. It's very repeatable and duplicatable. So the top five is actually pretty not surprising, right? We kind
yeah.
of saw this coming. Any comments here on this top five? We're not going to go through each one of these like this, but
Yeah.
any
No, no,
thoughts
no.
here?
Um, not like we said, not surprised. Scotty, Xander, they're going to be competing for Player of the Year, rightfully so that they're 1-2. Hideki Matsuyama, sneaky good season, especially with the
Yeah,
late win. And then I think him pulling out of Colorado was more preventative, so he could make a good run at the Tour Championship more than anything. And then after that, he's got a couple of weeks before they do President's Cup. So of course he's going to be a stalwart for that, and then he's gonna, coast into the new season. He'll probably do a few of those DP World Tour events or Asian Tour events just to appease the Asian crowd and keep the wheels spinning. But
of
oh yeah,
course
he's definitely gonna
the
be
Zozo.
relaxed.
He's always
That's
in the
right.
Zozo.
He'll definitely be
Yeah,
there for sure. Home field event, yeah. But yeah, I think he's just getting ready for the Tour Championship. But other than that,
yeah.
Keegan Bradley 50 to number 4 with the win. Crazy move of the week.
I know, right? I know.
Crazy move of the
So
week.
shout out to him, man. I don't know. Like I get the awkwardness. Keegan Bradley doesn't seem to be everybody's like guy, because that the anxiety he gives me backing up to the ball and then walking back into it drives me crazy. But so many good things about his swing, being a taller player. Kisner kept mentioning, love the way he stays down on it, stays in that stance,
Right.
which as a taller player, it's incredibly difficult. It would be easy to lift up, given how much he has to kind of squat and get into an athletic position. But I mean, he's been doing it for a number of years at this point. So,
I mean, just
um,
think about a player like Stuart Sink. The dude literally stands straight up after he swings. I mean,
right,
it's
right,
hard to hold that posture as a 6'3", 6'4" guy, and the
yeah,
dude is definitely pushing that. So him staying in that and him his little quirks and side bends, I'm okay with that. He is
yeah,
definitely staying super athletic with it. So I'm all for it.
yeah. Still rocking those custom J's all these years later.
Oh yeah. Oh, he not doing anything to mess that up.
Next set of guys, Rory, Colin, Wyndham, which Wyndham season has been like a stock chart. It's all up and down. We messed with him about the tinkering weeks ago.
Yeah.
Seems like he, kind of found it this week. Kind of last week as well. Sam
Yeah.
Burns, God, I want to see Sam do well so bad, but
Sneaky
there's something
consistent.
that he's missing that something that
Ball
will get
striking.
him to that next, yeah, something to the next echelon. So you think it's ball
Yeah.
striking, just not a great iron player?
Just not as consistent as he should be. And I mean, off the team. He seems pretty good. We all know his prowess around the greens. He's definitely a very good putter. Nobody can negate that. But yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, when you look at it, I just think it's lightning in a bottle some weeks. Just like the week he had like two hole in ones or something like that, something
right.
crazy. And then the next week, he might not, he might be under 50% greens and red. I just think that's what
Yeah,
it is. But 6 through 10, nothing really stands out. Rory's in the same position, really like four under or so. So he's in it, but he needs to go kind of crazy this week. But Colin Morikawa, sneaky consistent.
yeah.
Wyndham Clark
Had
had
a
that early
solid
50
season.
hole win. Yeah. Patrick Henley, kind of surprising. Didn't know he would be up at number 10, but you know, you can't stop him. You
No,
can't stop him.
he's a solid player. The game is
Very.
always there. He hadn't been, his best this year, and I don't know if that's
Yeah.
just kind of residual from the Ryder Cup controversy and just kind of the getting in more involved in the kind of the business side of
Yeah.
this thing. That could be a part of
Also
it as
hung
well.
also hung over from last season. I mean, career year last year.
Yeah,
Not just
yeah,
the Ryder Cup, what he did in the season, won in the playoffs twice, I think. That was last year, right? Or
yeah.
was it the
It
year
was.
before? Yeah.
No, no, no,
So
no, no, no. Because was it Hovland? I thought Hovland got hot last year in the
so then yeah,
playoffs,
it
and
might have
not.
been 2022, but oh, so then never
Yeah,
mind. He ain't really got no
yeah.
excuse. Well, never mind.
But it's still surprising to see. Still surprising to see him at 10, though. I was
Correct.
actually surprised by that.
Correct.
Kind of middle of the pack. I mean, we'll talk more about President's Cup here next week. I almost threw it in, but I knew we were going to cover a lot today. So,
Yeah.
um, Sahith Theegala made me think about the President's Cup being an automatic qualifier there. Sung J M always going to be solid. The man is kind of a machine. Nothing
Yeah.
doesn't do anything particularly great. I mean, his iron game is I think above average, but he's not super long off the tee, and he's not going to wow you in any one particular area, but he's straight. He's
Yeah.
gonna he's gonna throw some darts, and um, Lowry been super quiet all year. Adam Scott, man, the guy is kind of timeless. I was messing with my daughter, the other day. I was like, I got a man crush on Adam Scott. Dude's, traditionally handsome. She's like,
Mm-hmm.
he all right. Of course,
Yeah.
winner of the
Hater?
winner of the internet, Max Homa said some lady this week his site called him Adam, and he's like he took it as a compliment. So
Hell yeah, Max. Good for you, Max.
Tony Finau also had a kind of a quiet season. Kind of popped up in I want to say it was Mexico had a decent tournament out there where what's this guy? Uh, First time winner, slipping my mind, but Jake won his
Jake
first
Knapp?
tournament. But yep, Jake Knapp hadn't heard a lot from Tony this year. I mean, he's talented enough to just kind of do average, and he's going to end up, top 15 every year. Going to end up in the top 30 no matter what. But
Yeah. Plays a
he's
lot of
another one like
events and doesn't really miss cuts. So he's
yeah,
always going to be somewhere making points.
another one like Sam Burns, where you're just like the results don't necessarily match what the talent shows us.
Yeah.
Physically, there's not a lot of guys that are going to be able to out kind of athletic Tony Finau. I don't know. There's just something that would love to see him get over the hump. I thought this year could have been that.
Yeah.
He finished last year pretty strong, but it is what it is, man.
Yeah.
Kind of rounding it out here. Hate that Vic didn't have the great season. Ben An, been solid every single year. We were talking about the Olympic thing, so he's close to that age where he might have to meet that military requirement. Very
True.
different from Tom Kim, who's got quite a few opportunities left. So that
Yeah.
kind of sucks. Henley, man, this dude is like as solid gets. Doesn't pop up on a lot of leaderboards, but like you said, makes plays quite a few events, makes a lot of cuts. Um, pops up every once in a while, and you're like, okay, dude's got
Yeah.
it. So
Did that in the Open. Did that in quite a few of the elevated events because again, how the hell he made top 50 to get into these events, nobody knows, but he did it.
he gonna be there again next year.
He gonna be there
So
again next year, for real.
Bob
Russell, hey, look,
McIntyre,
yeah, Bob with the miracle win, dad on the
two
bag.
wins, two
Oh
wins
yeah,
this year, right?
yeah, that's right.
Um, Akshay Batia, winning as well down in San Antonio. I mean,
Yeah,
these are all guys who have had solid seasons. Keeping it moving. Billy Ho in there as well. This is a bounce back season for him. He's really struggled 2 previous years.
yeah,
So nice bounce back season for him. Tommy Fleetwood, another talented guy. Again,
yep,
there's that second rung of guys. It's like, dude, I want you. I'm rooting for you. I'm
right.
seriously rooting for you to get that win on the
You know what's
PGA Tour.
crazy? Tommy Fleetwood is probably an above average putter on the tour, and we still think he's a shit putter. To be honest,
It's probably the style of putting.
right?
You
I mean,
know,
like
I
just like if you look up the stats on it, like strokes saved around the green from putting, strokes gained, he's probably somewhere in that top 50, top 40 range, and we're just sitting here like, you sure? I don't really see that, but I mean, I don't really even. I really the pencil stroke is something that I've come accustomed to with him, so it's not really a thing of me not liking it. But for sure, I just you can't be fairway Jesus and then have like absolutely no touch around the greens. Like that is
I
really
know.
killing me.
Yeah, I just did a quick scan of the PGA Tour website. Guess who's like this is super random. Guess who's like number one on like all the putting stats?
Denny McCarthy,
No, you
who
won't you won't be surprised when I tell you, but it's crazy that he's still
Adam
getting
Shane,
run. Aaron Baddeley, number one in like
very
long
shocked.
hair. But I mean he's the one that's super trash ball striker, but
Right,
on the greens once he gets there,
Spanish
elite.
hands. The boy got the
That's
hands on him.
he does. All right. Only other one of note: Matthew Pavon, breakout season, of course, winning
He won so early. I'm
at
surprised he
at
held
Pebble
on.
Beach. No, not Pebble Beach. Torrey Pines.
Yeah, Tory with the step down lane, the step down grass behind him.
Oh Lord. Okay, conspiracy theory.
That's what they said.
Um,
The video
I don't
shows,
believe it.
Loki.
I didn't see it. I didn't see it like that. Um, I mean, none of these guys down here are winning at all. And then JT. Only thing I'm noting about him is that he was on Twitter today posting. So you're saying there's a chance memes about his coming in
Listen,
at 30.
I ain't even gonna lie to you. I didn't see him in the top 30 anywhere. I didn't see him in the top 50. So for him to make it, kudos to my boy JT because we still ragging on him like, what happened to your season? But you a two-time major winner. Of course we gonna be on your ass. So JT, how you dug this, top 30 out, kudos to you, bro. Truly.
Yeah, got everything out of the season that he possibly could have because
So
the
in
results have not been there.
they haven't been there, but in theory, he still stepped it up. He still stepped it
Yeah,
up and had a better season than last season. Because remember, last season he was 71 and he didn't even make the
yeah,
playoff. So
that's right. He
this
went
has
to
been a
work.
bounce back for him.
Yeah, he's got to figure something out in the game. Stop trying to change the swing.
Yeah, he needs to get back to consistent shit.
We've talked about it. Cut dad out as the coach. Find you a proper
Yeah, it's
coach.
time. It's time,
Get
brother.
into the mental game part of it. I do want to bring up the standings because I not the standings, but the way that it's calculated. Because I know a lot of people are gonna be like, "How does this shit work?" So Scotty comes in at 10 under. This is the part that I hate this kind of arbitrary number. With the two shot lead, 10 under, Xander at 8 under, Hideki at 7, and then we'll
Yeah.
just jump all the way down to the bigger groupings. They're at 4, they're 6 shots back, and then all the guys in that last grouping start at even. So they're 10 shots back. So no chance unless people just fall apart. But it's
Scotty's
East
done it
Lake.
2 years in a row.
No, but it's not been somebody coming from that far back, right? So you can see somebody at the under group maybe getting in there and pushing
Yeah.
him, getting hot, but not 10 strokes back. I
Yeah.
hope that Scotty's able to close it out this year and take it home. Because then that starts to get in your head. And I think this also absolutely mud stamps the player of the year. But I think if Xander does it, I mean it starts making you ask questions
Yeah.
on whether you know
Well,
maybe
here's
there is a
something.
question there.
Well, here's something. Okay, neither one of them wins it, right?
Oh, it's easy. I mean, if you're asking which one, if neither one wins it, it's Scotty. I don't think
Okay.
that's a question. I don't think there's a question there. With the gold medal, the
Yeah,
major, and the other wins. So
I
that
agree.
other major that Xander won, and then the other wins from Scotty, I think kind of equal out. But
Yeah.
just wanted to put that up. So that's how that's calculated. Let's see if there's anything else that I missed before we get into that
Yeah, waste
Hideki
some time real quick.
Matsuyama.
I'll be right back.
Wait. Okay. All right, y'all. Random, stuff. If you're still in the chat, how's your golf season going? I mean, we're kind of deep into it in Texas. How are you playing this year? Have you dropped strokes off of your handicap? Have you gotten some new clubs? Just curious how everybody's golf game is doing out there. We love catering to the amateurs out there. Just curious how y'all are doing and how your golf season's going. Any swing changes going on? Just curious how the landscape of amateur golf is going. Anybody care to share in the chat? No, no, not at all. Also, how do y'all think the PJ Tour season is going? We don't have any live stories because they're taking a bit of a break out there. Hey, bud. I was trying to get some anybody in the chat to see if they would be able to tell us how their season's going individually. Anybody drop strokes off their handicaps, new clubs, anything like that?
Mm.
But no takers. I'm super proud. I'm hitting my lowest handicap personally.
Yeah, you
So
trending.
I'm trying to get under 5 before the end of the year. We'll see. That's gonna.
Feasible.
I have some crappy scores about to drop off, so I think I might be able to do it if I can get a couple of low ones in here. Let's get into this Hideki Matsuyama. What's in the bag? We missed doing it last week. Just as a disclaimer, I'm skipping Keegan Bradley's What's in the Bag, even though he won this week. Typically, we do celebrate the winner, but we've done a couple videos on Keegan, and the algorithm says that y'all don't care about Keegan Bradley at all. So we're going to do
Keegan
this
Bradley,
Hideki.
all Srixon clubs, Cleveland wedges. The man is Srixon to the death of him. Srixon Z Star ball, Jordan brand shoes, Jordan brand clothing. Yeah, great Keegan Bradley. What's in the bag,
Appreciate you jumping in there, Curve 612. Got my handicap down to 4.6, but hitting it the worst off the tee I have in a long time. That sucks.
buddy?
That's
Buddy, that is the worst. But that means that short game is going crazy. That's all
right,
that
right.
means, man. Your scramble game done leveled up. Let's keep it going, Curve.
But that's always the like most frustrating thing about golf when you're not hitting it well off the tee, you're scrambling, and you're probably playing some really good irons into greens to recover and get up and down. But you're like, what if I was in the fairway? These are
Yeah,
opportunities at birdies that I'm missing, or
right.
just better, closer proximity to the hole. It's yeah, golf is forever frustrating in different ways, right? But shout out to that single digit 4 point. It's a pretty solid handicap, my guy.
No, anything under 10, you riding. Anything under 5, you low key can talk shit to the group. I'm just saying.
I know, right? All right, so Hideki won last week, covering him, big Chick-fil-A guy. So he does the number 2 spicy deluxe, but without the tomatoes, I believe.
A
So
man after your own
nobody,
heart.
nobody that I know plays the Trick Shine driver, except for Hideki Matsuyama. This man is it. So he's playing the ZX5 Mark II. Again, long-time loyal user of the Graphite Design Tour
Yeah.
AD. He has never wavered from this shaft, and you know it from that distinct orange and those white stripes. The man is
hmm
loyal. What do you think? And it's a
Michael,
low spin.
yeah, Michael, who we've had on the show, has sworn by the ZX5. Um, he's a fitter for everybody in chat and everybody that hasn't been around. A guest of our show, Michael Pimentel, college golfer for Southern. He is actually a fitter for Dick's Sporting Goods and Golf Galaxy alike. He has sworn by the Strixon ZX5 for this current like style of driver for 2023
Okay.
and 2024. He says if you check the numbers and you check all the ratings and stuff, the yardage drop off is not it's not there. It's right up there with the QI10 competing with yardage. Might not be the most accurate driver, but when you're
Okay.
going for big yardage and everything like that, you're not necessarily always aiming for the best thing. So um apparently, Hideki and Mike know something we don't about the ZX5. So I'm gonna hold my opinion, and hopefully, it's a good thing.
I mean, if it works, it works. I mean, I know he's
Right.
a staffer. He's a staffer, and I think he's thrown some different stuff in the bag, but um, clearly he's seeing the value in the driver. Because I mean, like I said, we've seen guys be signed to a brand, and as long as the head cover's on there, they can kind of somewhat deviate from that.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, what works for you works for you. Is rocking the TaylorMade QI10. We've seen this bad boy in a lot of different bags.
Mm,
Again, same graphite design Tour AD shaft in there. He's playing this one at 15 degrees. Not much to be said. I mean, I want to say outside of TaylorMade and Ping, those are the two best wood makers in the game. So you
yeah.
know,
Agreed.
So this one was an interesting pick for me. Um, the Cobra King Rad Speed Tour, 17.5, which that's an interesting kind of loft to even have marked as a primary choice for a
Hmm.
wood, but then also he's got it at 19 degrees. I thought the neck adjustment was super easy, and you just typically don't see it um, done like this, and I'm not super. You don't see a lot of Cobra clubs on the pro level, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. I mean, outside of Ricky Fowler, you're not seeing a bunch of guys playing Cobra clubs that are performing at a high level. Yeah, there's guys that play them for sure, but at a high level, not particularly. And he's actually had this Cobra club in the bag for the last couple of years. I went
Yeah.
back on some other, what's in the bags for him. And so he's had it in since 2023. What do you think about this, man?
Yeah. I mean, Rad Speed's definitely like a older style club for Cobra compared to like the models that they have now with the dark speed and all that other stuff. This is the like one of those Aaron Rice situations. If you like it, I love it. I ain't even got
Right.
nothing else to say besides that because Rad Speed Cobra. 5 wood at 19 degree that was supposed to be 17 and a half. You got something else going on in your brain that I want to know about.
Right.
I
There's
want to
something that
know.
clearly this club clearly does something for him that fits, squarely and has a nice spot in his bag and
Right.
something that he's trying to achieve. Because it's been, like you said, using your word for today, he's the stalwart. This is the club that's been in his bag consistently.
Yeah.
So he's getting something that he needs out of this bad boy. Not no surprises here. Shrixon, Z Forge, 2 irons, 4 through 9. True. This is surprising. The shaft choice is surprising, just because this is a chunky boy. True Temper Dynamic Gold S400. Typically, we see that shaft in wedges, but for
Right.
him to be working out with this one, um, I mean, the man's generating a lot of speed. We know that top of the,
Yeah.
he's one of the longer players on tour, but that's a lot of work. We even say that about the S300, that's a heavy shaft. We both played
Yeah.
it, and if you're not on, you're not on. But for him, week in and week out, to be using the S400 in his throughout his bag, very interesting choice there.
I mean, but you see it though. He's a lead tape assassin. So again, he doing some other things. He doing some doctoring up.
But I'm not surprised, right? So
No,
he's
not at all.
dialing in the numbers. I really do like Hideki. It sucks a couple of years ago. Struggling with injuries, just not getting the best out of his game. So I'm glad to see him make his resurgence this year. And again, just seems like a really humble guy. One day he's gonna come out speaking heavy English on us. What do you got? Lead tape?
Just in case, put that thing
You
on the
never
toe
know.
right now.
Just to kind of
Stabilize the face. Stabilize the face.
straighten it out, huh?
Yeah, I have it on my driving iron right now. It's working great.
Really?
Hmm.
Because you were losing
Hmm.
that to the left, right?
Yeah, so I put it out on the toe, keeps the face more square, more open, and then I got it bent. So now it sits a little bit more flatter as well. So
Hmm,
I am trying to deter all kinds of hooks out of the game.
cool. Again, as a Shrixon Cleveland guy, no surprises in the wedges. The RTX 4, rocking the prototype version, which is not super different from their standards, even though it is a prototype.
Hmm.
48 degrees, 52, 56, and a 60. So a lot of wedges in the bag, man. Uh, yeah, I don't know if I'm surprised by that, but
Four, just four. 48 is his pitch. That's
okay.
crazy. I mean, that's just you're hitting a 48-degree pitch and wedge, 140, 145 yards. That's
I mean, we know
insanity to
this,
me.
but we know the speed's there, man. The dude's
Right. That's
got
true.
clubhead speed out the wazoo, so not super crazy, but we can see it. And he hits a high ball
Yeah.
on top of
Yeah.
that as
True.
well. Um, this is the current putter. The truth is, my
He got
guy
about
goes through
seven.
putters. Yeah, it would have been ridiculous to go through all the different models of Scotties that Hideki has tried. It kind of stays in this similar vein. They're always the bladed kind of putter. Hasn't really done mallets, but this was an interesting with the insert on the bottom there.
Yeah.
Um, I'm sure it contributes to a soft feel. Um, I'm sure it's got the weighting that he's looking for, but this is the current version. It'll probably be something different beginning of next season. It could be different by the time we get to the Zozo with him tinkering but always, honestly, one of the worst putters on tour. Just
He
not
has
a,
got like 5 gamers that he just had brings with him every week. And you just never know which one he's gonna use.
but that's probably the problem, right? I mean, that
Yes.
might contribute to, um, if you're a bad putter, you're just a bad. The putter is not the issue; it's
Right.
the user at this point. So, um, shout out to him. I mean, he does a lot of toe point as well, which I mean that can just creates a lot of inconsistent strikes. So Anyway, rocking the Srixon Z Star XV. Again, while doing some research, interesting thing about Srixon balls, they don't even make, typically every ball manufacturer has a kind of a four piece ball. All their top end balls are three pieces, which is I think is cool to me.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think a lot of those four-piece balls, high spin. If you get a little bit off, you're losing them quite a bit to the right. I don't know. That's just my experience with them. Three-piece seems to be a lot more consistent. So pretty consistent characteristics that he's looking for here. A lot of greenside spin, mid iron spin, or excuse me, high iron spin, and then low spin off the driver. These are what people are looking for day in, day out, especially on the pro level. But I just
yeah.
found it interesting that all of their Z Star balls are three pieces and they don't even offer a four-piece ball. And then we reviewed these, not reviewed them, but when we were going through our hot or not for the Masters, this is a shoe he's been rocking. This is the second version of it. The previous one didn't necessarily have that smooth toe, but this is the latest version of the unofficial Hideki Matsuyama shoe, the A6 Gel Kayano Ace 2. So again, second version, second iteration. It's not a looker, but it's a
I
solid
bet you that thing
shoe.
comfy as hell.
You know
Boy,
it.
you know he floating in that thing.
So
Mm,
I've come to just separately, and I will any comments before we hop off of his what's in the bag.
no.
Okay. After this year, I am fully convinced because me being a Nike guy, I was always kind of a little bit wary. We've been Jordan, golf shoe guys, but I started picking up a few of the running style golf shoes from Nike. And those have honestly been some of the most consistent golf shoes. One, comfort is already there. We know that
Yeah.
part of it. But from a performance standpoint, and some of my best rounds are typically played in that running style shoe. So ASICS also kind of running shoe DNA, comfort driven. I don't know, man. I've been converted that
Something
I
to think
think
about. Yeah.
I just something about him, about kind of either the flat profile, kind of the more cushion maybe in the sole, but
Hmm.
those have been some of the best golf shoes I've played in this year. That includes the long-awaited and delayed Pegasus review, and then I went back to the original Air Max ones for a round here, and again, just always consistent, play very well in those shoes. So anyway, anything else you got random to talk about before we hop off today?
As the people projected, that boy CD Lamb is playing week one.
We knew it was a game. I mean,
They
we
some
we knew
clowns for
he.
making us wait this long, but whatever, man. Whatever.
Okay, so are you? Where would you put yourself in the Cowboys fandom? Are you irrational? Are you rational with
Very
expectations?
rational.
Or same?
Very
My
rational.
my
They're
my
not
car
about to
partner
get me
Jay
out here. Yeah.
being crazy. My car partner JP, he's a Washington football. No, I guess they're the Commanders now. Should have stuck with the Washington football team. So he was like, "Oh, what's up with CD? Is he coming back and this and that?" And I'm like, "He'll be back. I'm not worried about that. Dak will figure it out in the first couple of weeks of the season, and they'll snatch a couple wins up, even if he hadn't showed up. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm very reserved at this point. I mean, we hadn't seen them win a championship in we're getting 28 years now. We're getting close to 30. So, I mean,
Yeah.
you can't be irrational at this point.
Yeah. You can't. You can't. You got to be realistic. Um, Look, I'll say it here. the Texans are definitely the better Texas team at the moment. CJ Stroud is the real deal. D'Amico Ryan is really scary because he's a defensive minded coach, but with some type of fluidity on the offensive side as well. So really dangerous. We'll see them this year. Actually, I think we're on the we got them on the schedule, so we'll determine who's the best of Texas for this season for sure for 2024, and we will go from
Sh-
there.
Shout out to Perry Wiggins down there in H Town.
Pee
we'll,
Wee,
we'll see. What do you think about the Bears? Do you think Caleb Williams
still
pulls them out of
trash.
the? They're still gonna be trash.
Best receiving corps they've had in at least a decade. Still trash. Does not matter. I don't. Whatever. Somebody put some bad juju. Whoever's in that upper management office done did some slimy shit, and they need to fight through it. They need to get rid of the proper channels because it's kind of one of those situations where it's like until you do right by me,
Oh God.
something I
You think there's bad juju on the Chicago Bears?
I think so. Unfortunately, no beef,
I
I'd rather see. To me, they're kind of like the Knicks and like those type teams. Like the
oh,
league looks better when those type teams are winning. So hopefully,
true.
they can turn it around.
I mean, hell, we're starting to look like that. I mean, the Cowboys have been looking like that. I mean, we're
Right?
both they're living in the '80s, we're living in the '90s.
Yeah,
And
we're
when
real
you
sad
just
right
say
now.
it's been almost 30 years since the mid '90s, that's
Ooh,
I mean, you don't think it sounds that long ago, but it's a long time ago. I mean,
long time.
that's nuts. Um, who you got in the U.S. Open?
Um, you can't bet against Carlos Alcaraz. On the men's side, hopefully
Okay,
Coco repeats. She looked
I think
really
she
good
is.
today.
She looks solid
But
for sure.
Sloane Stevens, former winner as well. Madison Keys has made a big run. I don't think
Uh,
I don't think this
Sloan
is
looked
Swiatek's
okay.
to win.
No,
She bageled old girl the first set. I didn't. I
yeah,
mean, clearly I didn't get
but
to the second
then,
one.
when we were jumping on, second set they were going into a tie break.
Uh,
So
um,
we'll see.
Sabalenka, she's got a lot of speed and power, so she's going to be up there. But yeah, hopefully Coco Golf's got another run.
There you go.
Oh,
Damn,
well,
I'm telling you. When I looked, same.
damn.
I saw the first set, and then when we were walking in here, I was like, "Oh, that was a quick reversal." Because she even had her down pretty decently in the second set, but
4-2.
yeah.
Golly, fam. You
Well,
for real, mom? Don't troll. Don't troll, mom.
we're we're in that into summer kind of golf winding down. But like I said, on the amateur side, we're gonna keep playing. Especially in Texas. Last year was year round. I think there was maybe 1 week where I wasn't able to get around in. So
Yeah,
the show rolls on, and we'll be back on our regular scheduled time. No crazy commitments this week. We'll be back
yeah.
next Sunday. Although I kind of like the Monday slot. So it's been kind of fun. So we'll see. We'll see how things roll out there. But we'll be
We'll
back
keep a
next week
lookout for
for
that.
sure. Bearder Bros Golf Show. I'm Rod.
And I'm Marcus.
Peace, y'all.